Hello! So today we're going to be taking a look at Alderney Island in the Channel Islands in Microsoft Flight Simulator. So this has been developed by Boundless and is available to buy from InnyBuilds online. You can buy it from various other places, but InnyBuilds have got very competitive pricing, so that's why I kind of recommend them. Okay, so just looking around the airfield, it's worth pointing out, I've covered this this scenery in the past, and I keep coming back to it now and again. So the Alderney scenery isn't just the airfield, it's the entire island. So we're going to go for a fly and look up some of the points of interest around the coast. It's only a small island, so it doesn't take long to fly around, but it's wonderfully modelled. So it's going to be good fun to go and have a look at it. So let's go and have a little fly around, having a look at the assets on the airfield here. So we'll start out with the control tower and jump in and have a look around. I know people love seeing what's inside the control tower to see what the developers have modelled. So it's quite nicely done. There doesn't appear to be a door, so once you're in here for the duration, I guess. But there is a lovely spiral staircase which has been modelled really well. There's a few hangars and outbuildings around the airfield, and there's obviously various vehicles parked around. But otherwise it's quite a small, simple airfield, which I don't mind because it means it's very kind to frame rates as well. So you can see we've got a Velocity XL parked up down here on the ground, so we'll be taxiing out with it in a moment. It's only a short airfield here. We're on the western end of Alderney. I'll show you it on a map in a moment. Okay, so if we come into our Velocity XL and we swap away from the drone camera to the internal view, and before we go anywhere then, let's go and have a look. So here we are at Alderney Airport, so Echo Golf Juliet Alpha, and if we zoom out you see it's quite a small island, but it does mean we can fly around it quite easily and go and have a good look around. Okay, so what do we do to get this aeroplane up and running? If we go and jump over into the middle of the aeroplane just briefly, we'll go and put the battery master on, the alternator master on, put the mags on, put the nav lights on. We don't need radio master yet or anything else, so let's come back down. You'll see the primary flight display comes on with some basic information, because obviously it's got the engine gauges on it because it's a fully glass cockpit. We want a rich mixture. Just make sure we've got the levers and everything are all working. Looks like it. So sticks working, pedals are working. Yep, we're all looking good for configuration. So both of the fuel cutoffs have to be pushed in. I'd already done that before I started recording. So we should be able to just turn the engine over. So let's see how we get on. And we can hear the engine. So we've got the door open at the moment. Should we go and close that door? It's always handy to have that door open to hear the engine. So let's go, and while we're warming the engine up, we'll go and put the radio master switch on and put the strobes on. Oh, actually we won't do the strobes until we get to the runway. So we're going to use a combination here. So this aircraft is compatible with the TDS GPS system. You've also got its own internal systems which work really nicely as well. But we're actually not going to follow a flight plan today, so it's all going to be rather pedestrian and straightforward for us. So in terms of this, so let's go and calibrate the altimeter, make sure it's correct. You can see the GPS jumping around there because you can drag this, or we can center on the aeroplane, which we will do. Okay. So let's go and have a little look at this outside. It's a nice little aeroplane, isn't it? So let's just hold it on the parking brake and open the engine up. Clear the messages from the GPS. Okay. Do we get a taxi light? So I'm just going to go and turn on the head tracking as well. Take off the parking brake, open the engine gently, and we're on our way. So you can see it's quite a stiff breeze here at Alderney today coming down the runway, so we're going to have to backtrack to the left down the runway. Shouldn't take too long. So this aircraft doesn't have flaps, remember, so you just need to be mindful. And there's quite a steep incline onto the runway. The runway looks like a taxiway, but it's actually, I assure you, it is the runway. And it's quite bumpy. So if you land here with an aircraft that's quite difficult, it can be eventful, especially when there's wind, and there always does tend to be wind here because it's quite exposed. Like I said, it's a little island out in the ocean. And as you can see, the runway isn't the flattest. So quite often you'll find your aeroplane trying to take off on the bump in the runway. And there's quite a lot of, yeah, you can see there, areas of the apron that you wouldn't want to go too near with your aeroplane because you won't get back off of them. Okay, so strobes on, landing lights on. I think we're good for everything else, so pitot heat on. Full throttle. Yeah. I'm going to pull the RPM back a little bit. It's redlining there. Notice I said about the bump. It will try and take off on the bump. So let's rotate, and this thing goes up like it's been told off. And you start to see the attraction of flying around Alderney straight away. Because the scenery is lovely. So let's pull the engine back to 75%. So from here it's only a short hop over to Jersey and Guernsey. So you can do lots of island hopping adventures, especially as Jersey has been released, so that's available for mini builds as well. I covered that just recently. But yeah, the scenery around here is amazing. So I'm going to cut the throttle back to 50%. Pull the propeller RPM back as well. We're in no hurry.
$500.
So you get lots of these formations under the water that you can see. The texture goes out, you know, right off until the ocean shelf where it just disappears out of view. It's very nice. And as you can see, there are some really nice points of interest as well around the island. There's old forts, there's lighthouses. Let's just circle the lighthouse and circle the headland. There's another fort further along, look. So this island has been in the thick of it through the major conflicts of the 20th century, and before that 19th century as well. So it's been obviously a stronghold at various times and strategically important. So there's a shipping lane that comes right past it as well, so you do get a couple of ships that are part of the scenery that will be out there.
$500.
So as we come down this end of the island, you'll see there's a few ports that we'll see along the way. So we'll try and lower our altitude so you get a good look at them.
Too low terrain. Too low terrain.
Yeah, we may have to go and inhibit
Too low terrain.
tours to make it shut up, otherwise it's going to annoy us. Because we want to be too low, don't we? We want to see all this scenery. So there's another fort here, or fortification I should say. That obviously looks more Second World War era, with gun emplacements and armoured walls. So coming out past the harbour, there's a couple of fishing boats in and some pleasure boats, and they're all part of the scenery as well. But it is a great place. Great fun to go flying around. Some pretty remote buildings out on these spits of land as well. Obviously you can go and do some reading and find out what they are, but it's still impressive to see them out here. Look at these coves with all of the rocks under the water. It's wonderfully done, isn't it? Okay, so we're back round to the airfield. It doesn't take long to do a circuit. Now the wind is the wrong way for us to fly in over the headland, which is always quite spectacular, but we're going to circle round over the main settlement on the island first, just to go and have a look at it. So if we go for the right side, or should we get double around the edge of the hotel? I think it's a hotel here. Be careful I don't go and put the airplane in the ground. So you can see all the suburban streets have been modelled as well. They are part of the scenery. It's been done really nicely. There's lots of accurate buildings, like the churches and the major buildings have all been modelled. Hand placed, I think you would say. Okay, so how are we going to land back on Alderney then? So the wind is coming in from the west. So we're going to need to loop round and arrange an approach. Let's have a look at the... So we do have a localizer. We haven't got a glide slope, but we've at least got a localizer. And there's a non-directional beacon there as well. ALD. Interesting. Okay, so we've still got our landing lights on, haven't we? Yeah. So we're looking good for landing. We just need to get speed under control then. So gear down. A little bit high on the VASI lights by the look of it. But we can correct that on the way in. Just have to remember that we don't have flaps. So we have to keep that in mind.
$500.
I knew we were going to hit that bump. So parking brake, oh, sorry, not parking brake, toe brakes. And we're not quite going to make the turn. Let's go and double back. Thankfully this aeroplane turns very well. And we're back at Alderney Airport. So we'll bring it in right to the terminal. Mainly because we can. Okay, parking brake on. Mixture off. And cut the fuel as well. And then we can just go and turn everything off. So landing lights off. They should have come off really on leaving the runway, but strobe lights off, nav lights off, radio master off, pitot heat off, alternator off, mags off, battery off, and we can open the door. So hopefully you enjoyed that. So that was a look at Alderney Airport, available from AnyBuilds. Like I said, I'll put a link in the notes of the video. See you again soon.